right. We're going with Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris.
I'll probably go Chuck Norris. Heard some small stories about Bruce Lee, not like just only doing like other stuff, but Chuck Norris actually going in the tournaments and they're actually fighting. So Chuck Norris.
The feeling of seeing like a body just like drop cold in the mat, it's beautiful. It's just you applying the technique and seeing that it's just one touch. It's just 1 second and the body just drops cold and the person cannot move,
Everybody says, you get your top 5 athletes out there, on a basketball team. You got Barkley, you got Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, all that. Who's your top 5 fighters you walk into anywhere, ain't nobody fucking with, you guys knocking everybody out?
Shit, I got Francis Ngannou. I got Izzy. Okay. I got Demetrius Johnson. And I got Kamaru Usman. Oh, I got one more?
No, you included. So Nikes or Jordans?
I go with Jordans all day. I'm rocking some right now, bro.
What you got on? Let's see real quick, man. You got the 13s on? What you got, bro? Man? Let's see. He walking into the gym. Retro 5. OG, white cement. Take us into the locker room with you. So when you're walking out of there and your name's being announced, what's going through your mind? Are you? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to Pup Sports. I'm your host, MMA Locker Room. I got my official episode 3 coming out. Capping with your favorite cappers right here, produced by my man Big Show. This week, oh wow, man, we got a hell of a fight week ahead of us, man. We got Chimaev versus Diaz. We was just coming off of UFC Paris, cashing a lot of tickets, man. Hopefully everybody had a good time. We killed it over here on the UFC live stream. So if you guys ain't doing nothing this Saturday, you know where to be. It's going to be right here at Pup Sports on Saturday with the live stream. But, man, Nate Diaz versus Kazmat Chimaev, hell of a banger, hell of a fight, man. So, like, sometimes, when you got a stat card like what's coming up, a lot of people like to watch people's prediction shows and see, who's going to win, how to bet on them, and when you got a fight like Kazmat Chimaev, who's a minus 1,400 on the books, you might watch a lot of people's prediction show, and some of them, might have more than one show. So this is what I'm bringing you guys today, man. I got one half of the, best duo out there on the internet, backstage right now, and we're going to bring them on real soon. So I want everybody to get your questions ready and stuff. And before I do that, I want to let y'all know, man, I started off doing this MMA stuff online probably about 3 years ago and maybe in running or 2.5 and change. I've seen a couple of people to where once I seen their videos, I was just like, all right, man, I could watch this. I could rock with them. Now, the guest that I'm about to bring on is one of them right there. So I'm going to just go ahead and bring them on, man. Like, these guys grown their channel from minuscule to micro. Man, I just gigantic. I'm talking about they got question mark kicks. They got fight night picks interviews. They got interview fighters on their channel. What more do you want? What more do they got? I hop in their stream sometimes and they got 800 live viewers in there. And they got members that donate over like $100 and $200 at a time. Let's just go ahead and bring them in without no other waiting, man. Capping the Capper presents Fight Night Picks. Let's bring them on into the locker room.
Man, thanks so much for having me. Like, I'm really looking forward to the show. Now, Sabina Mazo's got me scared because I don't know if I have any stories of people like choking anybody unconscious or anything, but I think it's going to be a great show, man. And the one thing that I wanted to say, you touched on it. You were modest at the start. You guys absolutely rocked it this week with the picks and with the bets. So, man, hats off to you. I'm not wearing one. You are, but you guys had a great weekend.
Appreciate it, man. Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Yeah. Sabina Mazo. Yeah. Shout out to her. Don't worry about that, man. I guarantee you're going to have some better one-liners than her. So, just stay in tune, man. Stay in tune. So look, I like to do a timestamp right now. I'm located in California right now, you know, somewhere over there by the hills and stuff like that, Long Beach, Lake Elsinore, wherever. It's about 7:10 right now. Where are you located at, and what's your timestamp?
11:10 up in New Brunswick, Canada. So if anybody, you know, most of the people that are tuning in are going to be from the States anyway. You folks know where Quebec is? If you know where Maine is, I'm just east of that. So we're an extra time zone ahead of Eastern. It's wild stuff. And then if you went to our next province, like way up and over, they're on a half hour, old Newfoundland. But yeah, I'm in New Brunswick, Canada, little spot.
All right. Well, 2018, I made a trip out to Toronto, seen the Niagara Falls, seen the Casa Loma, the big castle. What you know about that?
Man, nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
No, Toronto's great. Ontario's great too. Like if anybody ever gets a chance to go to Montreal, you gotta go. I don't know why the UFC doesn't seem to have any interest going there anymore, but man, Montreal, great city. Used to be a great fight town with GSP doing it, but there's obviously still a lot of good fight. Even Johan Linus is fighting coming up this weekend out of the Montreal area. So a lot of good fighters there. It's definitely a great place to visit too.
Got it. So, man, let's just get into it a little bit, man. This is one half of Fight Night Picks. Craig's here. You know, your other half ain't here to make it right now, and that's because, you know, it's like a Diaz thing, you know. Nick was able to make the show, but Nate, he's training. He got something coming up and stuff like that. Is that what's going on?
Nate's got it cooking in the kitchen. Yeah, he's got a big fight coming up, big time.
Oh yeah, man. So real quick, man, well, while we get everything started, man, I see you got a little Cleveland Browns jersey on, so it seems like you're just a football fan as well. So how do you feel about the Browns this year?
Terrible. I mean, I'm so glad that they ended up with Amari Cooper. Obviously, you know, getting rid of OBJ, letting Jarvis Landry end up with the Saints. They had to do something. So you got Amari Cooper, David Njoku's still there. You still have Nick Chubb for, you know, maybe one or two more prime seasons, and then Kareem Hunt seems to want out. So it's going to be a weird year for my Browns, but I've been on the train with them for, you know, quite a while, since the Manziel days, I guess I should say. So not a big fair weather Browns fan by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm hoping for a halfway decent year for some of those young guys like Greedy Williams, you know, to make a big jump, and some of those great defensive players. We all know how good Myles Garrett is. So just looking forward to another season, but yeah, rocking the old Baker Mayfield jersey and feeling sad about it.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's all right, man. As long as you stay away from those little massage parlors and stuff like that, you know. Yeah, you'll be okay out there, you know. Don't be nice.
So sad. So sad.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all right. What can I say? You know, I got Calvin Ridley on, Atlanta Falcons fan. You know, I'm wearing a guy's jersey who cannot play this year because he bet on his own team. And it was a parlay at that. So what do you think about that right there? Because I know a lot of people say don't bet. And then but he bet a parlay at that. And now he's banned for a year.
It's weird because in MMA it seems to be kind of all right if you bet on yourself, right? Like I remember the stories that Justin James was floating out there before his last fight, and everybody kind of rallied around him, and then they felt pretty bad after the fact. Football, you know, baseball, hockey, if it's written into the contract, I'm sure your agents probably talked about it before. I'm sure they have, you know, sit downs with the teams and the players before the year starts. Hey, you know, we know DraftKings and FanDuel and the rest of that, it's going to be out there, NFL Network or whatever. It's going to be popular, but probably stay away from it. So I don't know. It seemed like a little bit of a bonehead move to me. I mean, maybe to you and I, you should be able to do it. But, you know, it just sucks. It sucks the whole way around. That's just all there is to it.
Yeah, man. So since you picked MMA to, you know, make your name known in, like, what was it? Like, were you like born into like making predictions? Did you come out the womb saying like, you know, round 3, you know, TKO head spin? Did you grow up training martial arts, or what was it that made you get so deep into the fight game? Not just the fight game, because, you know, I've seen that you was dabbling around boxing too. So like, what is it just about people punching themselves and, you know, predicting everything that got you captivated ever since pretty much seems like a teenager?
Man, Millz, you got the whole, you know, you got the full body experience here. You can tell I'm not fighting. I'm built like Cole Miller. So there's no way I'm stepping foot into the cage. But for me, I mean, you can also see like some of the stuff in the back. Like I've got some Miguel Tejada stuff. You know, we were talking about football, right? I got a Cleveland, Guardians helmet above me. It was always, for me, it was always about, the other sports. So for those of you that are out there in the chat, I mean, I look at this. What have we got?
Did you say Miguel Tejada?
Yeah, I got Miguel. Yeah, I got some Miguel Tejada cards.
So check
there's
this
Miguel
out.
Tejada.
What do you know about this? McFarland variant, Miguel Tejada. The variant, because it was the Orioles. He was supposed to be on the Orioles with this, but I got the variant, Miguel Tejada. That was one of my little favorite guys at a little time. So yeah, Miguel Tejada, huh? Wow, Jim.
Man, former MVP that never gets the credit. But for me, that was always the thing. When I was a kid, it was always baseball cards. There's some more around. Like I got Bobby Valentine when he was in disguise behind me that nobody really ever gets to see. But that was kind of it. Like it was always sports in general. So hockey, baseball, knowing the back of the baseball card stats, and always talking about sports. And when it came to MMA, once I started to get into university, we were going over to buddies' houses. You're drinking, you're watching the fights, you're picking fights, and then I realized I got a little bit of a knack for this. I think I do anyway. Maybe I don't. We'll be humble with it. But Matt was going, the second half with Fight Night Picks. He was going to the fights as well. So we were always trying to make picks, predictions, this and that. And then finally I said, you know what? Everybody's got a podcast. Why not start one? So it was just at the very start, even before YouTube, it was just me talking into a microphone on our website because I didn't know where you would host the podcast. So I just went out and got a website, hosted it, wrote some stuff about fights, then went to start covering fights. But we didn't really have many in Canada, or well, we do in Canada, but at least in the Maritimes, in the East Coast. So then I ended up, just going down to Maine, covering some of the fights, and it just kind of snowballed from there. So 2018 was really getting my feet wet. 2019, we were going hard with the picks and predictions. And then 2020 is really where it started to take off for us. But for a lot of people in the MMA space, we're really fortunate that, the UFC kept the doors open there going into the summer of 2020 for sure.
Yeah, and I definitely remember looking at the back of those baseball cards of players and stuff. And then, you find a player that you like Darryl Strawberry playing with the Dodgers. You look at the back of the baseball card and you're like, oh man, he played for this other team. And this year he had this number. Then you feel like, oh man, I know everything about this player right now. I remember playing baseball, little league and stuff like that. You get your pictures taken. You get to put on there your age, your height, favorite baseball player and stuff. Buying the pack of baseball cards, 25 cents with the hard stick of bubble gum in there. Nobody chews and stuff like that. The big chew bubble gum baseball. I mean, the football hologram cards with Emmitt Smith on it. I mean, yeah, man, those were the days. The Michael Jordan posters that my sister got me from back when I was a kid, still hanging up on my wall right now. I mean, yeah, man. I mean, those days right there is pretty much what got me through. I'll say a lot in life, man. Sports like that and catching moments like that. And yeah, I was really captivated in basketball when I started and then got into other sports and everything. But so when you say you started to cover fights and start to go to them, how did you actually take your first approach to that? Because I know it's hard, because out there they don't have a lot of fight promotions, and then you're like, okay, well, who am I? For one, I'm kind of young looking, and these guys are gonna look at me like, what are you doing here? Do you want a tutor or something, or an internship? So how did you actually just balls up and say, hey, you know what I'm doing here? I'm putting the suit on, I'm walking in.
Nobody ever tells you how to do it, right? Like that's kind of the craziest part about it. Like if you wanted to get into baseball or if you wanted to get into, hockey, like you'd always be reading, for us, it was the hockey news or the sporting news or baseball almanac or whatever. But usually these people, then there's some MMA media that are pretty critical of this stuff, right? And we all know it. There's a lot of purists out there, just like there are in other sports, but you got to go to journalism school. And then you got to pay your dues. And then you hook on with a big promotion. They get you their credentials. You go with it. Man, I had no idea what I was doing. So right at the start of it, as a lot of people will do, James Lynch is a great resource for a lot of this stuff. And you can go over to his YouTube channel, check it out. It was just reach out to the promotions. So it was a Wednesday and I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking, man, you know what? If I want to take the next leap, I got to go cover an event. What do we have coming up locally? So you go on Tapology, you go in the Fight Center, you look all the way through. New England Fights has an event on Saturday. And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. Their next event is a month from now. but I'm going to message the Facebook page and just see what happens, you know, because you get messages, everybody gets messages, and they get filtered and they don't get seen. So I sent a message out there, and boom, I got a response. Yep. You know, we're so glad that you're interested. We'd love to see you make the trip. Can you come out on Saturday in Portland? I thought, well, I didn't sign up for this, man. Like, Portland's a 5-hour drive. Like, how am I going to get a hotel? We're in June. It's going to be so expensive. Like, I didn't plan for this. So I sent my buddy a message. I was like, hey, you want to go down to Maine with me? And he's like, yeah, sure. Let's go. So we went down. Then the next part about it, what do you wear? Like, what do you wear going to the fights? I had no idea. Do I wear a golf shirt? Do I wear a t-shirt?
A polo?
So I packed a suit and tie, and I threw it in the back of the car. I get up to the border crossing. She says, can I check the trunk? Yep, 100%. Pop the trunk. She comes back. She goes, why do you have a garment bag? And I looked at her and I was like, you know, you dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And thank God she laughed. She's like, you guys have a good time. Enjoy it. So we drive all the way down to Portland, end up at the venue on time, met the promoters. They're really nice guys, Nick and Matt. If anybody ever goes to NEF, Matt Peterson and Nick DeSalvo. And yeah, just from there, what do I do here? So I did fight write-ups while I was there. You know, covered it that way, got a little bit of traction with that New England scene. And then every other time they had shows, which was once a month, once every 2 or 3 months, get the invite, go back down, get your little credential like you would at a UFC card or a Bellator card. And then you're there, you're taking videos with your phone, you're uploading that to the website, you're talking about the fights. And that's really how that got started. And so much so that was June 2018. By October, the UFC was coming to New Brunswick, which I don't know if anybody remembers that card. I've got the poster up in the corner of the office. It was Oezdemir versus Smith, that fight night. And so I sent a message to, or sent an email to one of the UFC representatives. Somehow I snagged an email address out of the blue, sent it away, and they said, no, well, we can't really give you credentials, but we do have a media day coming up with Anthony Smith. He's going to fly up to Canada. You'll have the opportunity to interview. So I did the same thing. It was on like a Thursday. I was in school in 2018 and I did a full year. So I was still going to school summer into fall. I had the opportunity, went down to Moncton, suit and tie, and there was local media. Like we're talking, like TSN was there, which if everybody knows Aaron Bronstetter with TSN, the Canadian equivalent to ESPN. Well, there was like Acadie Nouvelle, which is like our French newspaper, New Brunswick. There was like CBC New Brunswick. There were some smaller organizations, some papers. They all asked like softball questions. What's it like coming to New Brunswick? I bet you're not used to the cold. Have you ever had poutine? And I was like, what's it like training at Factory X? I know that Curtis Blades just came from Ohio to train in Colorado. How was that? And then he kind of like, you could see it in his eyes. And then like, I know he gets asked this a lot, but it was still new then. I did the old, how did you end up picking Return of the Mac as the walkout song? You got excited about it. And then from there, I kind of like looked in the corner of my eye and I could see the UFC lady that I had emailed and met that day. Her eyes lit up. Yeah. Her eyes lit up, and then right after that, she emailed me back. I think it was that day or the next day. She's like, "Yep, we'll get you credentials for the UFC. Just go on the website, fill all of this out. We'll have them ready for you." And then I did end up covering Volkan versus Smith. So if you go way back into the archives, there's like interviews and there's the weigh-in stuff. But kind of the trouble with that is we don't get a lot of cards in the Maritimes. Before that, the last card was 2017. It was Travis Brown and Derek Lewis. That was the last one that was close by. And then before that, it was Tarek Safdie and Rory McDonald. Like now we're really going back. Toronto gets a lot of the shine. Montreal hardly ever gets any cards at all. And then you get some cards at Western Canada and Alberta and sometimes BC. But kind of the nuts and bolts of it, yeah, there's not a lot of regional MMA going on here. Fight League Atlantic, which we covered one of their shows here back in the winter. But yeah, it'd be great to start covering fights again like that, because I love getting out there, meeting the people, and seeing the blood fly live. It's kind of weird when you end up with blood on your computer, but it does happen.
Man, that's crazy right there. The drive. I mean, the drive, literally a 5-hour drive, you know, for something unexpected to where it's just like, hey, I'm gonna throw this out there. Hopefully they reply by maybe in the next 2 months or something, so I can set it up. And no, they reply right then that Saturday. And it's like, all right, well, call your friend, get the okay, drive all the way down there, man. Like that's dedication right there, you know. And yeah, that's and you see what happens from there. You get that opportunity, ask the certain type of questions, not the same questions that everybody's asking. That's a key thing right there. So yeah, man, it seems like that played a big part right there, man. And then it seems like the personality helped out a little bit more. And then after that, like, so how did you get your brother into the scene with you? Because I was watching some of your videos, and first it was just you doing predictions, and and you had some local fighters on there that you would go over and talk about the cards with and stuff like that. Then all of a sudden you start doing like live streams with your brother. How did he get pulled into the mix, or was he always the ghost writer, or what was going on?
No, man, no. It gets sad before it gets happy. So started with a podcast, then I ended up getting a really weird kind of connection. It was Ty O'Keefe that was a fan sided. He had written for some other websites. He was also Canadian, so it worked out pretty good. He had a standing offer with a Canadian website at the time, and they were doing like live talk radio. And Millz, like, I always like, all I listen to is live talk radio, sports radio, like Mad Dog Russo, shows like that. Like, I just absolutely loved them growing up. So I thought, man, this is exactly what I want to do. I want to say it was unpaid at the start as a trial, but then it would be paid. Like, it worked out perfect. So we did hour segments. It was every few days. And then once we hooked on with them full time, it was an hour every single day. And it was the best. Again, I was still going to university, so it worked out fine. You just pick a time, do it for an hour, talk about MMA. We had to do these like little shows for a whole full day. So you'd have to have a stack and you'd have to have a theme. And at the time, if anybody remembers, BKFC was starting up. WBKFF, the card that had like Johnny Hendricks, and it had a lot of big fighters. Boss Rutan was a part of it anyway. So we did a full day on bare knuckle fights, which I'm not a huge fan of anymore, I got to be honest with you. But I had a lot of fun talking about them then. We had Christina Marks on. We had the heavyweight legend, Tony Lopez. So from there, we just continued to snowball. And then right at the end of the year, that website sold to a really big site, like a global site. They shut it down. And unfortunately, right after that, Ty actually passed away. So it was December going into January 2019. He had passed away. I was kind of left not knowing what I was going to do with the channel. And if you go back, I mean, Matt and I had done a couple of little things with the video, but Ty was always saying, go on YouTube, you got to do videos. He was always a little leery around the picks and predictions because he said, listen, you get it wrong, you're going to hear about it. And Ty, you were right, man. I hear about it all the time if I'm wrong. But it really, that's kind of how it started. So 2019 on, Matt joined on, and yeah, I mean, we try and take a yin and a yang approach to our videos and not both say the exact same thing and echo each other. But it's been a lot of fun over the last 3 years or so since we've been doing the videos together.
I think a lot of people out there, don't know, exactly too much how it started and everything like that. And thanks for letting us into the insight on that, a little personal and everything, like you said. Yeah, but wow. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep moving on along. Like you said, at least your boy Ty got it right? You get it wrong, hey, they gonna crucify you. But hey, it seems like you guys been getting a lot more right than you've been getting them wrong on there. So the love and the appreciation that your channel came with and grew within the last year and a half. I mean, how did it just take off like that? Because I remember watching and it was just like, maybe like 300 followers. I'm 300 live viewers now. I hop in there, it's like 800 live viewers, and the donos are going crazy and stuff like that. So like, what just made you guys take off, would you say, in that YouTube algorithm?
Man, like the folks that tune in are the best. And like you said, like, you're going to get people out there, you're going to get knuckleheads that give you a hard time about stupid stuff. And you got to just take it off the chin and not really worry about it a whole lot. It's always about the long term. And that's really been the thing with us. Like, we do our best to hit up the comments section, say hi to Dabby Cab, Jesse Alonso, Philip V, Marlon Z, Big Show Picks, and FM that are in the chat. I can see them out there on yours.
Well done, my man.
You got to be in and out of that chat and doing your best. Or that's kind of how we at least started it. So going from that, I mean, end of 2019, we were starting to pick up steam. Start of 2020, we were starting to pick up steam. And then just as soon as it was getting good, everything shut down. And that really did throw a wrench into it. So from that, it's like, well, what do we do? So we did like oddball videos, like off the wall. We do like a tournament style. So we did like a March Madness bracket, 16, draft them for every single division, and then do a tournament. We did like little videos and Q&As, and you throw us a comment for a video or question, we'll make a video about it. So we did that for a while. And then all of a sudden it picked up again when MMA, got off the ground. And we were just, you talk about the algorithm and this and that. I mean, I think it's just posting consistently. The other thing that I found with our channel more than a lot of other people, and I've gotten a lot of people messages, in the last year or so and say, geez, you guys don't focus enough on Instagram. You don't focus enough on Twitter. You don't focus enough on Facebook. I don't, but it doesn't really seem to drive much. So then we don't really focus on it as much. So that's just kind of been the way that it has been, focusing a lot on the YouTube, trying to just up the quality of the shows. Like, you hear a lot of people say, like, man, I can't believe what we used to look like. Man, some of our old YouTube videos were so bad. Like, I used to wear the great big, like, I had cans that were plugged, and I never had the volume right. And I had interviews that went 6 ways to Sunday, guys. Like, I'm sure you've had it too. Like, I interviewed a couple of decent fighters at the start, and it was like, okay, we're doing video, right? Okay, no, here's my phone number. Call me. So then you call them, you're talking to the microphone, you get your phone on speaker, but nobody can see it. The audio's bad, it's choppy. And then I had it once where I interviewed a fighter that's still in the UFC. And after the fact, they said, like, here's the Twitter post. And the guy's like, nope, that's not very good. I didn't get it. And then he gave me every single reason why I was wrong. And at the end of it, he's like, LOL, you're still an amateur. And I thought, like, man, that's fuel to grow, pal. So yeah, I mean, but I sound like I taking it personal. At the same time, it's still an opportunity to grow to that. Maybe there was some truth to what he had to say at the time. So it was just, really, really focusing on the YouTube stuff, really continuing to invest into the channel, and really just finding what your niche is. Because that's the other thing with us. Like, you try and throw some passion projects out there. I know I put together a video here. It was before Giga Chikadze fought Calvin Kattar. And I thought it was one of the best things I've ever done, period. Like, I felt so good about it. I thought it was awesome. It was like a minute and a half, and it was all these graphics and montages. I thought it looked great. I went on Fiverr, and I had like an Australian lady narrate it. If she wasn't Australian, she was English, and it sounded so good. And nobody liked it, and they thought it was stupid, and nobody watched it either. So it's just knowing what you're good at and trying to stick with it more than anything. But that's tough, especially when you're starting out, like really just kind of finding your way. And that was another thing that we needed to do. Again, not wanting to drive into the picks at the start of it, but I mean, like, it's in the name, so you got to kind of make it your thing. And then once we did start to go towards the picks and predictions and dropping some of the other stuff, that's when it started to snowball as well.
Hell yeah, man. All right. So for everybody out there listening, man, you got to be consistent, keep your schedule, find what you're good at, be passionate about it pretty much, and stick to it. Try new things. When you figure out that you're not that good to them, get back to the things that you're good at.
Yeah, and like the other thing too, and there's so many free resources out there if you're looking to start out, like Canva for your graphics. It's pretty easy. It's free. You can use it. If you ever want to graduate to Photoshop, there's so many good tutorials out there on YouTube to get good at Photoshop, to get good at Audacity when you're trying to mix your sound after the fact, to use Premiere Pro. And even if you can't like afford the Adobe stuff, because it is expensive, there's so many different free resources out there too. Like, I know when we started out, we used to do a lot of little audio clips, but you wanted to have a picture of something moving, so you'd have the waves. Headliner, that's a website that you can use for stuff like that. So there's always stuff out there if you're ever thinking of doing it. It's just getting the ball rolling and actually starting.
Man, with that being said, some of the stuff since you started, so let's go over it. Have any of the fighters, reached out to you on one of your videos or inboxed you after a prediction, before a prediction? I know recently a fighter, Flowers, hopped in everybody's MMA stream, not just your guys's. He hopped in 3 other people's MMA stream before your guys's popped up. But besides him, has there ever been any other fighters to reach out to you before or afterwards? Like, hey, you really had that right, or hey, you guys are assholes, I'm not gonna lose this way, or anything like that?
Yeah, we've had a lot of people. I said a lot of people. We've had a few reach out. I mean, that Darius Flowers one was so funny because I didn't really say, like, we missed the Saturday with our 2 live shows, and I said, oh, one of us is sick, and didn't really get into the nuts and bolts. But I got COVID out of it, so I was sick on the weekend. I was sick Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Monday was our live show. So I had a fever. I was dripping sweat. I went on, we did the show, but we did it in separate spots, right? So you can see us separated on the screen. And I'm doing it, and I was struggling through the whole show. And then it was like, oh, Darius Flowers is in there. Well, I already made my mind up that I was picking Gogoladze. So I just kept doing the show. And then I was like, well, I'm going with Gogoladze. Darius, I hope you prove me wrong. And then son of a bitch, that guy was. He did prove me wrong. And I felt so bad. And right after I did it, I went, like, right after the show was done, I went on Instagram and I sent him a message. And I was like, man, I'm so sorry. That must have came off so unprofessional. I felt so bad. And he's like, that's cool, but I'm still going to win. And he did.
Yeah,
he did. So, but the guy, like, there's one other guy that's been in, and you can see it. It's out there in the comments. But Chris Curtis, like, did not have him to win his first 2 UFC fights. And then after that, I kind of, yeah, okay. Like, is this, I think it was his 3rd fight. I was like, yeah, okay. I am on board on this one, but he's been kind of critical, but it's been fun, the back and forth out there. And I mean, I'm sure he's halfway aware, because he was our 2021 male fighter of the year with the channel. So he had a hell of a run, you know, before and then into the UFC. So it's kind of crazy to see what he's done over the last few years, for sure.
You there, Millz?
Yes, man. I done got it wrong a couple of times with him. So, man, I'm getting a little bit of choppy Wi-Fi going on right now. Are we good, Big Show?
Yeah, you're good now. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. My things keeps chopping out and in. All right, so give me one of your biggest predictions. Brother disagreed with you, or is one of those that you just hold up in the air and hold up into the world, where it's like, hey man, I predicted this right, I called it, you know, hold it over your head, ha ha ha. Mine, I mean, it was not that big, but it was Joao Alvarez versus Thiago Moses on the underdog. I was so convinced on that pick and everything, but that's one of the ones to me that I like to kind of hold over the head. What about you?
Man, I had that one wrong, and I was so confident Thiago Moises is going to win. And I felt like such an idiot after the fact. There's 2 that I go back to all the time. There's one where I felt pretty good. You know, you hate to gloat, but the one was John Castaneda in his last fight. And I thought, like, listen, you look at this guy, he's a southpaw, he's a really tricky out, he's a tough guy for, you know, most fighters to figure out. And then he takes on Miles Johns, and most people figure, well, Miles Johns is going to beat him. He knocks guys out, whatever. And I went with Castaneda as a decent sized underdog in that one. And he was able to get it done. He looked really good in the fight. But my favorite one that we've ever done on the channel, where we got so much blowback when we made the pick, and then you get to sit back and laugh, and you can still talk about it today, was picking Glover Teixeira to beat Thiago Santos in their fight. And the best part about it, if you go back, I know Matt said 3rd round submission, and he was able to get it done. So that's the one that I always go back to think about. Like, man, that was kind of wild, because going into that one, Glover was a big underdog. He was old. Like, there was no way he was going to win that fight. And I didn't think he was going to beat Jan Blachowicz. So, you know, kudos to Glover. But yeah, that fight against Thiago Santos, and it's a wild fight to go back and watch too.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, that's a good one right there. Big Show Pick says, mine is Jury. I told everyone that was in Vegas he will be champion soon if someone don't knock him out. Yeah, my man Big Show definitely got that one right in there, man. So, yeah, it's all about gloating, you know, when you get the ones right, you know. But it seems like this, Craig, when we get them right, we don't get that credit. Like, you would think the people is going to be like, hey, Millz, hey, Craig, hey, thank you, or you did this right. And I'm just like, nobody's even saying anything. They just go on to the next fight, and who do you got next week? And I'm like, hey, what about me? I was the guy who picked Nathaniel Wood, and everybody killed me on the Discord and Twitter. And I'm just putting out a pick.
Nathaniel Wood. Hey, we both had, like, hey,
right,
we both saw it the right way. Yeah,
exactly. We had it.
There we go. All 3.
There you go.
You know, but like nobody's mentioning like, hey, good job or anything. They're just going on to the next week. And I'm like, well, what about, but when I get a fight wrong, how could you do that? How could you? They always remember what you lose.
One of the worst ones that I've had recently, and we got like, I'm unsubscribing. Okay, man, like I had to be, but Devin Clark, Azamat Murzakanov. You know, you look at Murzakanov in his Contender Series fight where it's just wait, big burst finish. And then you watch him against Stefan Chukwe, bad first round, bad second round. And then in the third round, he finally turned it on and flipped the switch and got the finish. If you watched him fight before the UFC, he was like pouring it on guys and he looked amazing and his wrestling was decent, but he could get taken down. And I look at Devin Clark and it's like, yeah, his fight against Ion Kutsalaba was bad, but look at his fight against William Knight. He goes through the adversity and Devin Clark looked great. So I thought Clark was going to win as a decent underdog. Matt picked him too. And sure as shit, he definitely didn't win that fight. So, I mean, credit to those who had Murzakanov. I didn't see it. I don't know. I guess I was just kind of wearing
I got to see that
glasses.
one live, Cash. I was in the building for it, San Diego. Got to see it, Cash, live in there, man. So, yeah, I was definitely one of those. And I seen everybody was taking Devin Clark, bringing down that Marzarek line for me. So I was like, go ahead. Oh, he's fighting with the new camp now. Same Devin Clark. Oh, he's doing this in the new weight class. Same Devin Clark. So I'm like, I got a thing where I say, stick to your guys, stick to your guts, stick to your guns. So that's one thing. I bet my guys, and so far it's working out for me. It's been a hell of a profitable year for us over here. So that's one thing I like to say, man. Stick to your guys, stick to your guns, stick to your guts. We're gonna wrap this up with some legendary questions. So we're just gonna get them to them real quick, sporadic. Favorite heavyweight fighter all time?
The new Canadian Brock Lesnar.
Okay, and that is.
Oh, Brock Lesnar.
Oh, got it. Oh, okay, got it. I thought you said the new Canadian.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, he was a Minnesota guy, right? But he lives and trains out of Saskatchewan. He's a Canadian.
Got it.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
Okay. Can't go wrong with that. I'll be honest. I seen him fight Cain Velasquez. I was all on the Brock Lesnar side. I got a picture with Cain Velasquez that day. I seen Cain Velasquez fight. Who was it? The bald-headed guy, Carwin or something and shit in Vegas.
Yeah.
I was a big Brock Lesnar fan, so I'm with you on that. All right. Let's go. Favorite female fighter of all time?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Valentina Shevchenko. I mean, just her beating everybody that's not Amanda Nunes in the UFC is something to watch, and good at all three levels, good on the mat as well. I love Valentina fight. You got to get excited for them, even though she's a huge favorite every time.
Favorite steroid user in the UFC?
Current or past?
Evan.
Who's somebody that got caught? I mean, geez, that's a tough one. Oh, Brock Lesnar.
There you go. Double dip. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's go. Favorite type of fight, strikers or what?
I lost you. Favorite type of what strikers? I'm going to go favorite type of strikers. My favorite type of strike in MMA is definitely Muay Thai. Like, you watch a good Thai fighter, especially nice high guard, or you get some of those fighters that are sneaky and they keep their hands really low and throw from odd angles. I love a good Thai fighter in MMA.
Got it. All right. If you could cover one organization besides the UFC, what would it be?
Bellator all day. They're really easy to deal with too.
Yeah, I like Bellator. I like them a lot, man. All right, let's go. If you couldn't be a Canadian, would you rather be an American or?
Probably from one of the ANZAC countries. They seem to be pretty chill. So Australia, New Zealand, if they'd have me, one of those two. Nice and warm.
Got it. All right, now look, would you rather be a part owner of the UFC or part owner of Bitcoin?
UFC. I don't know anything about the blockchain.
Gotcha. Not into the NFTs with Ian Heinisch in them, right?
No.
All right, here we're gonna go. All right, your top 5 fighters of all time. You walk into a bar, ain't nobody messing with. Go ahead. You got 5 fighters of all time. Nobody's
Brock Lesnar, Junior Dos Santos. You already mentioned him, Shane Carwin. So there's 3. You see those 3 guys walk into a bar, everybody quiets down and sits down. And then if you want 2 more that are going to get really scrappy, you got to go with like off the wall picks. So like Julian Erosa that's fighting this weekend's got a better chin all of a sudden, and he comes at you from weird angles. So I'm going to go with Julian Erosa as like the guy that you don't expect, but he's dropping people. And then if you want one more, like a real blood and guts type of fighter, I mean, Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler be the other one. Like that guy'd be down. He'd have your back. You know he would. Exactly.
Got it. All right. So yeah, man. Thanks for stepping in, man. The locker room, capping with the capper, my episode 3. Half a fight night pick stepping in right now. Sorry to keep you this long and everything, but sometimes when you get to talking about MMA, you get caught up in the time and everything, man.
Man, it was a great time and really looking forward to it. Like, I know you guys are going to do a great job with UFC 279 on the weekend. And if you get anything going on for Contender Series 2 tomorrow, it should be a really good card. Like, there's a lot of talent come through on that show.
Yeah, man, you guys been doing your thing on Contender Series 2, putting together your picks and everything like that. So I know you guys got something dropping as well. So let's go ahead and give you this little minute to give everybody your little channel and everything like that you got going. We got a few live viewers right now. We're going to have a lot more watching on the playbacks and comments. So go ahead, man. Let them know what you got going on with your channels and your schedule and everything like that.
Yeah, man, check us out right down there. They did me the pleasure of throwing Fight Night picks down there. So you can find us there on the socials. You can find us on the YouTubes. YouTube.com/Fight Night Picks. It's always there. So Contender Series on Monday night. We usually try and do a Sunday night drop for the full card UFC stuff, the individual videos, and then the shows that are on Saturday. So maybe there's a little bit of healthy competition with Millz and I and Pub Sports and everybody else that's competing for a slice of the pie on Saturday. But it's all friendly competition, and a lot of us, get along great, outside of all the shows. So that's the best part about MMA, man. Like, there's so many people out there, so many great people to deal with, and I really want to thank you for having me on the show. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks, man. Man, I'm all about building bridges, man. You remember when I reached out to you a long time ago when I was gonna start that little prediction thing with some other people on odds and everything like that. So came at you and was like, hey, man, I think I could put together this super team of X-Men superheroes. And yeah, you was definitely one part of them. But like you said, you had everything else going out the window that was going. And yeah, you had no time to do it. So as you see, everything started going for you guys from there. Met up here, still connected on the same thing. So, just a message to be known, everything that you do is going to come back around. If it don't work the first time, just keep trying and definitely at a touchdown. You see where it's at now, see what he's doing. I'm doing the same thing now, interviewing fighters for Bellator and PFL through the media. So, hey, man, look at us now. Look at where we started. Just want to give a special shout out to Big Show, the producer behind the scenes, everybody in the chat. I see you guys. This is Millz with Capping the Capper. Until next week, until next time, Pup Sports Radio, F the rest out. We the best out.